What's going on, YouTube? It's okmall. Today I got another build guide available for y'all, and this was going to be covering our Leo right on target sword build. This is a super powerful build, and I highly recommend y'all give this one a shot. Now, before I dive into the specifics of this build, let me give you a brief overview of just what this build can do and what it's all about. So to start us off with, let's take a quick look through the combat here. I'll just point out a few different things. We have 131% weapon damage at 42. We've got about 99% accuracy with no abilities up right now. 25% base crit with 82% crit efficiency. A decent counter at 24. A 0 fumble chance. Low energy cost and lower cooldowns with this particular build. Bleed chance because of our weapon here. Lots and lots of HP as well as energy. Now all of this primarily comes from the fact that we're playing as Leo. If you guys aren't aware, Leo's might and magic stat says that you gain 2 experience, 2 health, and 2 maximum energy for each ability point invested into utility skill trees. Moving on down, obviously not very much in the way of protections, decent amount of base dodge. Again, a little bit of control res, some move res, and some bleed res there. Lots and lots of experience percentage because of the same thing we were talking about earlier with might and magic. Otherwise, protections, it's just not that great. It's not what we're all about here. We're all about more or less damage and dodge. So skill-wise, my primary focus here was to enable my charge skills to have more range, more damage, and less cooldowns. And the skill we're looking for here is sprint training. It adds 1 range, negative energy, negative cooldown cost to all your charge skills out there. So this is a super powerful passive when you're building for it, especially. So for instance, we got onrush. That is 5 tile charge, and it's only 8 round cooldown. You mix that in together with sudden lunge, you can get it even lower. Mix that with finisher, and you gain another charge with a 3 tile range that can, if so long as you kill the enemy, reset all of your skills so you can do it all over again. On top of that, we have our dash that goes up to 5 tiles in range. And while we didn't get points in here, I am level 28 with a skill point available. The next 3 level ups would have been the plan here. Would have been Embrace, Battle Forged, and Battering Ram, which would be another 5 tile charge that would increase our weapon damage by 16% for 2 turns. We didn't get this one, but it was on the cards to get. It would have been awesome to have it. It's just we didn't do that. We didn't get to level 30. Now I want to briefly cover the characters without going too in depth on characters. For this particular build, I 100% like Leo for this, so we can be super tanky and not have to worry about your HP or your energy at all. Love this character, makes everything stupid easy because of his might and magic trait. Now, having said that, you can do this build on just about every character out there. You got Yorgrim, great when it comes to increasing weapon damage. Hilda, the same idea. You could potentially do this on her. Plus her bone charm if you wanted to get some life drain, some energy drain, weapon damage, whatever you want to put on that bone charm. On top of the fact that she's also a dwarf. Her prayer buff is amazing, just like Yorgrim. You got Derwin, another great fit. You can easily put a lot of the points into survival, and as you probably have already tell, we did put points in survival. Hell, I could, potentially increase all of my survival skills 100% and have some spare skill points still left over. Then there's Velmir. Every time you take on a boss, you get a little additional. Some additional stat points. Those could be pretty useful. I wouldn't do this on Yana, and probably don't do it on Arna either. I don't really think that's going to be a good idea. Mahir could potentially work with this, but Mahir is so unique in the fact that he has put like bare bones 6 skill points into any given tree, and we do go pretty heavy into these skill trees, so Mahir doesn't really seem the best fit for this one. But yeah, just some ideas about which ways to go with this build. Now, gear was pretty straightforward. Again, up to y'all how you do this, but personally I went for the Tide gloves for more crit efficiency. The negative fumble is just a caveat of it. It doesn't give you the most in the way of protection, but hey, we're looking for more damage, so that crit efficiency is very nice. I did go with the aristocrat belt over the captain's waistband, which also is very similar to the tied gloves. It gives you crit efficiency, but I thought the added cooldown reduction and the dodge from here would have been pretty nice on top of the added 4% counter. So I went with that over the other. Take your pick, right? If you added additional crit efficiency to this mix, you'd be closer to 100% crit efficiency. I did go for the captain's headband or captain's headwear for the additional crit efficiency, and dodge. We went for the Scar Hog here, crit chance, crit efficiency. The worst part about the Scar Hog, and I probably wouldn't recommend using it until level 22 at the very bare bones minimum, just so that way you can take advantage of the adrenaline rush skill here to help decrease damage taken, because this thing's going to take a few hits and be completely broken. It's going to be pointless. 100% pointless. You'll still get some of the skill benefits. It doesn't take all of that away, but you still gain some of that crit efficiency from wearing it, even if it's broken. I went with these two rings here. In hindsight, I mean, once I've unlocked at level 22 Adrenaline Rush, I could have went for some crit chance ones here to increase my crit even further. But I mean, weapon damage is 3% from Morian rings. It's pretty dope. We went for the Ruby Pendant here, cooldown reduction, skill energy cost, you know, just to try to reduce some of that cost a little bit. And then steady Mage Hunter boots for additional dodge. Now, I did happen to get this sword here pretty early in a tier 4 dungeon, so we went ahead and used it. It gave us a massive amount of crit chance and crit efficiency. So good. So super grateful that we found that during this run. Otherwise, you know, the sky's the limit when it comes to what sword you would like to use. Just take your pick. I would probably say get something with higher crit chance, crit efficiency, and you know, go that route. But don't really go for something with a block. I mean, this one has innate block on it, but the other stats on it kind of make up for that. Because we're not about trying to defend per se. That's where Adrenaline Rush comes into play. Now let's take an overview of the stats as they stand. We do have blade maintenance. This is going to increase your bleed chance and your weapon damage and your crit when your weapon's durability is above, you know, 80%, 90, and 95%. Also reduces your durability when you do block. Keeping distance, pretty straightforward. It's a pretty darn good hit with a high crit chance. It's just a free hit. If you use it, you just step down here, like basically like this. Enemy steps in to your range, you attack them. Fencer Stance adds our counter, gives us block, gives us more dodge and bleed chance. Steady Tempo is more of an energy regen, while also reducing cooldowns of from trees random attack skills by 1 turn. And then Onrush, again, this build is more or less about rushing the enemy and just having constant onrush and just charge skills in general to just wreck anybody that comes to us. Now there was other weaponry skills, not even any range skills here. Next up we have the warfare skill tree. There's obviously Seize the Initiative. There's Opportune Moment, which is more for energy drain. We've got setup, so waiting in place or using maneuvers, stances will gain us accuracy, negative damage, and negative ability energy cost for 3 turns. It stacks twice. There's always War Cry to give us more weapon damage, crit efficiency with a chance of confusing and dazing the enemy. Now, right on target, this is what another part of the build is a right on target build. It is meant to work hand in hand with right on target as well as be a very charge based build. So if you guys are not familiar with right on target and what it does, it has 2 facets to this skill. The very top one says that grants all attack skills more accuracy, negative fumble, and plus crit chance. So it doesn't show up in your stat tree. It's just kind of like a little hidden stat behind everything. So this would, you know, gain, because it's an attack skill, it would gain additional 3 accuracy, negative fumble, more crit chance. So just by default, all of our attack skills will have this. The second portion of this says that if equipped with one-handed melee weapon, the second weapon slot, while the second weapon slot is empty, you will gain main hand efficiency, weapon damage, armor penetration, negative fumble, negative damage, and negative ability energy cost. Now, the way that works is if I pull this up, it's essentially like this. Doesn't matter what weapon slot, just so long as the other hand is empty. Now, that does not work with a net. I'll show you right now. So you'll notice my efficiency is 109. It's 102 now. So that's considered not valid. Okay, but if you move this around, you'll notice nothing changes here. So it doesn't matter what side you have. This is going to be aesthetically pleasing to the eye, depending on how you have it. If you have it this way, it's on the like right hand, but it's kind of like pointing up. On this side, it's in the front of the body. So I think this looks a lot cooler. So we're going to keep it this way. There's obviously offensive and defensive tactics. Both of these have their place in battle. One does offer a lot more counter chance and a little bit more block and dodge, while this one's more of a crit, accuracy, and negative cooldowns. Having tactical advantage also is great because it also decreases skill energy costs and cooldowns for any stance or maneuver you use. And we have a lot. This is an attack. That's a maneuver, a maneuver, a maneuver, a maneuver. That's a charge. It's a charge. A maneuver, attack. Then I got an active skill, a charge, and a stance. So quite a few maneuvers and stances there. Then there's finisher. It's a great skill. Does a lot of damage for body, a high crit chance, negative fumble, and ability energy drain, right? And if we kill the enemy, it will reset all of our skills except for the finisher skill. But it resets everything, which is great to keep Adrenaline Rush active. Try to pop Adrenaline Rush when you're next to an enemy and there's a decent amount of enemies nearby to decrease the damage that you take. And try to finish that enemy off with finisher, so that way you can use this for the next confrontation. And if you're in a battle with multiple enemies, you're definitely going to want to utilize Adrenaline Rush and make sure the stacks stay high. Now, the other caveat to this is you want to put points into Vitality if you want this to last longer. Right now, with 20 points into Vitality, this has 10 turns. This lasts for 10 turns. So keep that in mind. If you don't put any points into Vitality, I think the base amount of turns this will last for is 6. 6 isn't terrible, but you'll probably run out of turns. And if you run out and you don't have another damage reducing ability or something that increases your dodge or whatever the case is, you're going to be in a bad spot. So just be mindful of that. So in this case, we did add points into Vitality to increase its turns. So yeah, if you look at it, we can get the stacks up to 6 if we are careful. So it grants an extra stack of effect up to 6 for each enemy within your vision upon activating, and adjacent enemies will count twice. So if you're next to an enemy, that's already 2 stacks. If there's 2 more enemies there, you're going to be up to 4, right? So make sure that if you're doing this, you're either popping it when there's plenty of enemies on the screen, or you're waiting for one of them to get close to you and then you pop it to get more stacks, because obviously the more stacks the better it is. You're gonna have increased crit chance and decreased damage taken. You can get your damage taken all the way down to 25% with this skill. Because like I said, base, my damage reduction is at 90, and part of that comes from the athletic skill tree here, which it comes from this one here, which decreases damage taken by 10%. So underneath athletics, pretty straightforward. We're trying to get to the bottom skill trees here. I don't want to cover this too much. Dash, elusive for extra dodge. Sudden lunge, great skill to have, especially on something that's already got very low cooldowns. You can essentially sudden lunge. So sudden lunge into seize the initiative, into sudden lunge, back into maybe keeping distance or whatever the case is, right? You can just constantly go back and forth between the 2 skills and essentially have this one off a cooldown 90% of the time and use it every other turn. So awesome stuff. This one increases our increases our range of our charge skills, decreases the energy and the cooldowns. This one, amazing skill. And this one here, we're never going to be under 50% of our energy. And if you are, you got problems. You got to think about what you're going to do. But anyway, weapon damage, dodge chance, and negative cooldowns duration when above 50. I have 194. Between that and the life drain, the energy drain from other passives, this should be constantly active. Armored combat, we already talked about it. We didn't put points into it, but I would essentially say, hey, if you want to do your charge skills, go on down and get battering ram. Survival, straightforward. Pathfinder, love this skill. It tells you where the enemies are, and also it allows you to deal more damage to them. This one increases your dodge, on top of increasing or decreasing the enemy's accuracy. Pretty straightforward. Cauterized wounds, helps with bleed, helps keep your body healthy. So first aid, and this one helps you increase your maximum health, as well as anytime you do take damage, the maximum health threshold does not decrease your maximum health as much, right? Then I'll cover the skills as a whole. Let's look at the stats. I probably should have covered these first, but let's go ahead and look at them now. I believe when I first started this build, what I did was 15 points into perception. I wanted to go perception to unlock a couple of skills early, plus increase my accuracy. I'd rather hit than fumble and all that stuff. I'd rather at least hit, because if I fumble an attack, so be it. At least I hit somebody. Versus if I can't hit them and I don't have any fumble, well, what's the point if I can't hit? So there's that. Plus getting this unlocks either at level 6, or you can unlock it a little bit earlier with about 3 level ups with perception, and then you can unlock Pathfinder to help you deal a little more damage. So it was 15 perception, 15 agility, and then I believe we went back into 20 points into perception, followed by 20 points into vitality. And then after that, I'm going to start getting into the agility, try to get this up to 20. But that is kind of the route I took. So again, 15, 15, 20, and then 20. And then again, going vitality helps you with your, where is it? Adrenaline rush skill to give you more active turns, which is kind of what you want to do. You want to make sure this lasts a little bit longer for you. All right, the last thing we'll look at is kind of what I think you should do at certain level ups. Now, I could be wrong about which skill unlocks at what level, because I didn't really dive too deeply into this. I just kind of wanted to slap this together so you guys have an idea. So at level 1, Leo does start off with warfare, so this works out well for us. Level 1, I got you with Seize the Initiative and Warcry. 2 great skills to make the early game pretty easy. This one's going to increase our weapon damage, crit efficiency. This one's just going to help us to prevent the enemies from being able to hit us when they have initiative loss, while also increasing our accuracy. At level 2, just get set up. You can just wait in place a couple of times, because a lot of our fights early game are going to require us to wait for the enemy to get to us. We don't have a range or anything like that. As soon as they get to us, we have increased accuracy and I think damage reduction there. Level 3, this is just, I put it here, whatever. It doesn't really mean much to us. I just put this just to get the skill point out of the way. Level 4, I believe level 4, it's either going to be this skill here, or you can get Pathfinder. I don't recall which one unlocks at level 4. If it is Pathfinder, grab that up. If it isn't, just get this skill. Who cares? It's either 4 or you're going to go for Disengage. One of those two. But either way, there's that, right? So let's say level 5 Pathfinder. At level 6, you should be in Manshire typically by level 5. Okay. So let's give or take level 5 or 6. You can then talk with the governor down there. I think it's the governor. Should teach you swords. Okay. Once you learn swords, now you can start diving into swords a little bit. So level 6, keeping distance. At level 7, I do believe, if I counted everything correctly, skill point wise, level 7 should unlock right on target. If it doesn't, just swap it over for this blade maintenance skill. Otherwise, 7 and 8. Now, level 9, I could be wrong about this. Again, I might be. Go ahead and grab up offensive tactics. It'll help us with our crit chance, our accuracy, so it won't be that big of an issue moving through the rest of the game here. At level 10, I love this skill. It's great. It helps us out immensely. Puts enemies cooldown or enemies' abilities on a cooldown whenever it does damage. Pretty helpful through the mid game and even in the late game. Then by 11 and 12, I want to get our dashes up, because we're going to start doing we're going into dungeons that are now tier 3 and up, usually around level 10 to 12. So that's going to be helpful. Then level 13, this should unlock by level 13. If you put stats in the correct points, it should unlock, right? But that's going to be helpful, especially when we start diving into those tier 3, tier 4 potential dungeons. But yeah, very, very helpful there. 14, I was just thinking, what the heck? Let's get some defensive tactics in there, kind of swap between the two. 15. Now this is where I kind of get a little gray area on what's more important. And I don't recall how I did it, and what points I spent. So this is where I'm kind of getting a little wishy-washy, right? I was thinking, heck, even this skill would be great, but then you got Finisher. I think Finisher I had much earlier, so I don't really know what I did personally anymore. So I'm just kind of like moving around here a little bit. But yeah, 14, 15 for the stance, 16, 17. So we now have an onrush skill we can attack enemies with. From 17, where's 18 at? 18, that's going to help us get a nice little heal in between. I probably didn't do that this early. I probably switched it up with something else, but it's just such a good skill. It's hard to pass up early. Then 19, we went down here. Mainly because at 19, I'm holding off on the next 3 level ups, right? So get the 19, unlock this skill, hold, and hold. That way at level 22, all 3 of these will unlock. And that's going to be perfect. That's going to be setting you up for the rest of the game. At that point, it doesn't really matter what skills you put in and what spots, so long as you have these 3 skills unlocked here. So then there's 22. Where's 23 at? Right here. That's Finisher. 24, 25, 26, 27. Now 28, and I put it here because I thought that was a skill that I unlocked. It is not. You can just avoid that or ignore that. We already talked about it. The last 3 skill points are completely up to you and how you do it. My thought was to just increase our charge attacks, and part of that comes into play via the armored combat tree to get battering ram. Added bonus for that when we're on a light chest plate is that you get increased weapon damage. And don't ignore this 15 over here. I was just copying things around. So that about does it. In all honesty, very, very strong build. I was super, super excited about this. It really, really worked out well. I was even able to take on a tier 5 dungeon completely naked outside of necklaces, rings, and I think a cape and a sword. That was about it. So if I can do it, y'all can do it. Now, I will leave a couple of links in the description of the video below that will showcase some tier 5 dungeons that we did with this particular build, so you guys can have an idea what it looks like when you're attacking tier 5s. But that will wrap it up. So as always, comment down below. Let me know what you think of this build. I already know what the answer is going to be. It is going to be, okmall, this is so strong. And I'm like, I know. What can I say? It's powerful. You're going to enjoy it. Simple as that. But yeah, comment down below, like, comment, subscribe, share with your family, and I will catch you all next time. Bye.